All right, we are back once again. Another episode of In the Trenches presented by FOMO. This is episode number 27, and we are pleased to be joined by none other than Risk Anonymous. Risk, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing good, doing good. Not a great day in the trenches for me, but we keep on clicking.
If there's anybody uh, out there in the trenches that knows how to keep on plugging, it seems like it's you. I have been following you for quite some time, maybe not as long as some people. I don't know all of your lore. So I
Yeah.
went back and I looked through as much of your Twitter feed as Twitter would let me look at, and
Uh,
I learned some things specifically about your history as a trader. I'd love for you to tell us kind of the general story. It's a pretty crazy story.
so I guess my first experience with on-chain was Shiba Inu.
Okay.
I had started a new job and I guess I was probably like I guess I was like 30, 31 at the time. And it was right before that first big sheep run up, and all the young guys in my office were like they were like like fresh out of college, and it was like the GME days, right after COVID,
Yep.
and they were they're, yo, you got to buy this coin, you got to buy this coin, it's going crazy, it's the next Doge, and like I remember sitting like in the bathroom at work, like trying to figure out like how gas worked with ETH. Like I had no clue, no clue at all. Like failed transaction. Like I think I tried to put like $100 into Sheeb and like used like $50 of it on gas, like fucking up, and
Yep.
figured it out. I put like a 2 grand in or something, and rode that like in typical Risk Anonymous fashion. Rode that like all the way up and all the way down. Pretty much, I'm pretty sure into NFTs. Well, NFTs had probably started by then, but I didn't really get into them until the fall of 21. I look back and that's when like all those World of Women, like Boss Beauties, all those like women focused NFT collections, very strange.
Yep.
We're going off like Dead Fellas, Alien Friends, and I hit big on Alien Friends. Like I minted like 50 of those. So I got into NFTs late, but I think I did pretty well in them. Um, but it's funny the reason I got into NFTs was do you know Unusual Whales, the Twitter account Unusual Whales?
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Of
they track
course.
like options flows. So like I was
Sure.
trading more equities at that time, and he minted an NFT collection that you could get like unlimited access to his platform if you had one, right? So I was like, oh, this is great, and like that was my first experience with NFTs. I was like, this is amazing, right? But like, you remember Nate Rivers too?
I do know who Nate Rivers
So
is. Yeah.
he had like half the collection of those unusual whales things. So I got totally fucked on supply control there. But yeah, that was like my first foray into NFTs, and I was hooked, and I did that for as long as NFTs lasted, really. Um, late 2021 and then early 2022. The first half of 2022 was pretty good. Capped out probably with like the other side mint, and then it was probably like downhill from there. But I actually had to look back and like, what did I do on chain between like 2022 and like Pepe? And
So
like,
you
there
said
wasn't.
you said you round trip. You started with $500 in NFTs. You built
Yeah,
that up to seven figs, and you round tripped it back to 30K, basically.
yeah. I remember maybe a little more than 30K. I remember having 30 ETH like at the bottom. Like I was like trying to get a validator going. And like I had enough for a validator, but I was like, I just parked it in I think staked ETH at the time and like didn't do anything for like a year after NFTs.
Okay.
Um and I think ETH was like around 1,000 then, something like that. Um but then I'm not sure what got me back on chain, but I know I was like back on when Pepe dropped and like Log and Ticker Bitcoin and all those like early ETH memes. It's amazing. Like I got into all those like in the first like 2, 3 days. I went back and looked today. I was like, wow, I can't like the amount of Pepe tokens, like how cheap they were is insane. Like another huge round trip or fumble. I think that's well, some of those I sold too early, but some of them I just rotated into other dog shit. But yeah, Pepe, and then after that we had the early Solana memes. Um,
Boom.
Used car, Harambe. Um, I missed Bone. I did.
Oh, interesting.
I
Coming
was
from
on.
NFTs, I would expect you to have hit.
I well, it went up so fast.
It
It went
did
up
three
so
days.
fast, and it was probably one of those times where I was, like, really, because 'cause I'm, like, such a I have a lot of, like, I'd say bad trading habits, like, if I were to tell somebody how to trade, it would not be the way I trade, but, like, I do a lot of full porting, do a lot of rotating. I don't keep a stack for plays, so I probably didn't have a stack at the time Bowman dropped for, like, without selling something else, and by the time I wanted in, it was probably like, "Oh, it's too late," and then it just kept going, if I had to guess. I don't really remember, but I remember having FOMO.
I mean,
But,
it was 3 days. I think it was like
of
three
just straight
days
up, yeah.
of straight up to 3 billion or 2.5 billion, and then it was down only from there.
And what was the one where the guy burnt, like, half of the supply or locked half the supply? Uh, Slurf, remember Slurf?
Yeah, yeah,
The
sure,
"Oh, fuck" tweet? That was kind of a similar one.
sure.
Um, but yeah, all those early Solana memes, like Radium memes, Popcat with, um, Michi. Yeah. Um, and then I guess that's like, the launch of Pump Fund came, and then we just that's kind of when the trenches started, I would say, when it was more like shorter and shorter and shorter time frames for tokens.
Yeah, that's when the trenches started being called the trenches. They definitely started well before that, but that's when they were
Yeah,
given their
but
name.
it kind of became like, just a much different game at that point. Like,
Right.
terminals came around and stuff. Like, I still, like, I don't use terminals. I use Phantom and Jupiter and mostly FOMO these days.
So
Um,
you, all right. So you again, Pepe, Mog, all those early ETH memes. You round tripped again, 30K, 7 figs back to 5K.
yeah, I remember
In
early 2024, I had like 1% of Harambe, I think, and I remember distinctly getting frustrated and selling like the bottom before it ran to 100 mil.
Okay, and then talk us through Trump, right? This beans to Trump to Barron trade. You said you were down to your last 2K the Friday morning of the Trump launch.
Yeah. It was like one of those times where I was like, over trading, rotating, and I was in Beans. Beans was like some web2.com guy that like had some early concept that was kind of like crypto.
Wasn't
Um,
Beans? I thought Beans was a token from like the NFT days.
no,
Oh,
that was an Azuki thing.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking of. Beans
Yeah,
is an Azuki.
yeah, no, this is Beans like BENZ. This was like definitely like kind of like the claim fees thing before claim fees where they just recreated, like, the concept of this. I mean, it was a meme. There was no tech behind it, but, like, this guy came up with these beans coins in the '90s, I think, and they were using them as, like, airline rewards, essentially. But they kinda, like, mimicked crypto, so whatever. It was a dumb token, but I had a bunch of it, and I got it early. And, he, like, joined the community, this guy from, like, the '90s or whatever, who, like, I think he was, like, an early PayPal guy or something, and it went from, like, 500K to, like, 20,000,000 in, like, a day. And, so I went from, like, 2K to 100K in a day, and I was like, "I'm back," you know? And I was out to
Like,
dinner. I
I'll
was out
say.
to dinner with my friend, and, it started dropping, like, precipitously. I'm like, "Why is this falling off a cliff?" Right? And it was because Trump dropped. So that 100K was quickly 50K, and then I just rotated all 50K into Trump at, like, uh, I'm not sure what price it was. Um Like $5 or something probably, if I had to guess, because it went to, like,
Sounds about
75.
yeah, sounds about right. Like you went 50K to 800K on Trump.
So I gotta give out, like, the scenario that I hadn't slept, like, well in, like, 6 months because we had a baby, but I basically was sleep deprived for, like, 6 months, so decision making wasn't, like, top of top of my game at all. But I basically stayed awake for, like, 3 days watching this Trump position, and then, Melania dropped. I didn't trade Melania. Held Trump through the Melania drop, but then a Baron coin dropped. Remember Martin, Scarelli was, like, saying, "Baron's the dev, blah, blah, blah," and
Oh yeah.
I rotated to it, and like, went up almost 2x, and it was, like, 3 4 in the morning, and, I'd been up for, like, 4 or 5 days, and I fell asleep for a little bit. I woke up, and I was down, like, a lot, like, I was down to, like, I don't know, 4 or 500K, and I was like, "It'll bounce," and it didn't bounce. Didn't bounce at all, and I sold it, like I think I sold it, like, 200K maybe, and then just revenge traded for, like, months after that to try to get back, which is like, if anybody's listening and you've ever been like on tilt like that, the thing to do is just walk away, take a week off or whatever. But I didn't do that. I just revenge traded, revenge traded, revenge traded. And like, it's such a hard cycle to get out of because you're just trying to get back what you had. And you're never going to get back there that way. Definitely. So yeah, that was my Trump weekend about a year ago now.
My God, what a story. Like, you clearly have a knack for identifying things that are going to work. You've proven this for years. Like, you are right in the thick of it, and you're hitting on tokens and opportunities that are like cherry, and you're hitting on them kind of like just in the nick of time. Have you ever thought about, or like, can you point to what allowed you to catch all of these opportunities in the first place? Is there like a through line in what you saw
I think
for
a
all
lot.
of these?
Well, like seeing things early is just being online, probably, and like following the right people on Twitter, like curating your Twitter feed. Because I didn't until this year, I didn't really spend much time on Telegram other than like a Telegram chat for like a meme coin per se, but like not like I was really like a solo trader for most of that time. So it was all just like seeing stuff on the timeline. Um, like especially in like Pepe and like Mod and Bitcoin, like you could see stuff and like you had time to react because like coins lasted longer than a day. So like if you got in the first week of a coin, like you were doing good. So I think it made it it was easier back then to identify things early because like early was a bigger window. Now it's much, much, much harder. And that's probably like I've done other than Trump, like in the last 2 years, like not nearly as well as I was doing in the first 2 years.
What about, okay, so aside from just like seeing things on the internet, I see a lot of things on the internet, and I
Yeah.
throw little bits of money at a lot of things that don't work.
Mm.
Like,
So do I.
see,
I mean, that's my hit rate's not amazing. Like I wouldn't say.
but seeing things on the internet is different than seeing the right things, and
Yeah.
like going towards the right things. So I guess maybe the bigger question is like, what's the essence of what did all of these things have in common?
Good
Because
question.
I think it's more than just
I
like
think if you spend enough
seeing.
time on like crypto Twitter and Twitter in general and on the internet, like you eventually like develop a sense for like what's gonna be pervasive and what's gonna be funny to many other people, or like what's gonna give them an emotional draw to something, or like if it's a tech thing, what's gonna be exciting about it, or what's gonna make it well used and well distributed. Um, I think that's all just like time in the chair or like experience. Then executing on it is like a whole nother story where like maybe I'm good at buying stuff really, but I'm definitely not good at selling stuff.
As long as I followed you, you have been definitely like a participant in the meme, right? Like you use your timeline to share stuff that you're interested in. And we'll
Yeah,
get
it's like a
in well,
trading journal more so, yeah.
have you always been participating in the meme? Like, and also, what is the importance of participating in the meme for you?
I think it's fun. Like like sometimes I'll hold something or buy something and I won't tweet about it, but it's very rare. Probably because I'm probably mostly only buying stuff that I think is either funny or cool or interesting to me. Um, and like I don't think I have that much like reach or motion, so it's not like me tweeting about it isn't going to move the chart in almost all scenarios. So it's not for that reason. That's not the way I think about it, at least. It's kind of just like it's like part of the game. It feels like. Um, like maybe it's like clout or something that you want to be the one sharing it, and then it goes up, and then like you can point back to like, oh, I was in early or something like that. But it's just fun, in my opinion.
I have a small theory that like you shouldn't buy any token that you're not willing to like
Yeah.
commit your whole entire timeline to.
Yeah, and maybe that's part of what's given me some success. Um, it's definitely it sucks when you're in a token, you're like, "I don't even wanna bull post this." It's like, "Well, maybe you shouldn't." I've caught myself, like, in that, like, line of thought before. I think the best coins are the coins that, like, you just want to tweet and tweet and tweet about them all day because you think they're great. It's, like, the best kinda coin.
Yeah. I don't want to push too hard on this, but I'm really kind of curious, like, to be able to get to those sorts of numbers, seven figures multiple times, and give it all back to round trip it, like to touch that number ever in your life is like such a huge goal of every single person that's listening in the Discord right now, every single person that will listen to this interview in perpetuity, right? Like we are all trying to get to that point, and you were there and you didn't take it. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm curious, like, what kept you from realizing those profits when you had them? Um, was it that you thought everything was just going to go higher, or was like, what are you reaching for that you
But
that you that you didn't get?
it makes no sense when you talk about it in retrospect, like, at all. Like, of course, like, I definitely should have sold everything when it was even at, fractions of that value. Um, but I didn't because, I mean, part of it's definitely greed or gambling or delusion. But I think a lot of it's delusion, or, like, when things are going up and they just keep going up, you think they're just gonna keep going up, and a lot of times, I mean, it's that classic chart that they show of, like, you know, complacency and then, like, anxiety and then, like, delusion, and, like, you think it's gonna bounce, and then it doesn't bounce, and you just ride things down. Like, riding things down has been on, like, large time frames and small time frames has been, like, my downfall every single time. Like, I don't typically trade with stop losses. I don't, like, it's hard for me to cut a trade. Um, so, like, when you look at that on, like, a portfolio level too, it's the same problem that you think of, like, "Oh, this is just a dip," you know? "This is just a dip," but it turns out it's not sometimes. Yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow and a hard thing to live with, but I think a lot of us have done it on maybe not with that much, you know, money, but, yeah, it's not fun.
I don't think you can really like make it as a trader if you haven't done it. Frankly, I think you have to go through the rounds of making huge profit, and huge profit to me may not be huge profit to you, and whatever, but like you have to get to that. You have to feel it. You have to let it get away from you to
Yeah.
know to
And I
know
think
what to
most
do next
people
time.
probably wouldn't take this many times, like, to learn it. Like, I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna learn my lesson this time," and, like, with SPSC, like, it was kinda like, "Oh, I can't round trip this again," but I kinda did, which sucks. But that one wasn't like I couldn't just sell at any time with that one, so it was a little more restricted in that
Yeah,
sense.
that one feels quite different, and I really want to dig in there. But before we dig in on SPSC, I want to ask you a couple other questions about like just how this experience has shaped you as a trader, right? Like being able to stomach huge swings like this and come back. Like you're talking to me about this stuff now, and I can't do anything but commend you for your willingness to like look at your history and be kind of okay with it and continue forward. Like I think that would break a lot of people. I think it would make a lot of people walk away from the space forever and say, you know what, I had my chance, I let it slip through my fingers, and now I'll never get it again. You are proof that you have that second chances do come, second and third and fourth, right? So
Yeah.
like I'm curious, how has your mentality around trading changed from cycle to cycle?
It hasn't, and that's probably I probably need to adapt a little bit more because the conditions are just much different now than they were then, and I think it's like a double-edged sword that when you trade like I trade and you go in heavy on things and you hold forever, like, you can hit big wins, but you can also hit big losses, and it's especially, like, from a numbers game, it's much harder to trade that way versus, like, a system where you take your initials, or you only have 5% of your port in each play at a time, or something like that, which is I think more of what I need to be doing going forward because it's rough out there right now to trade in a more aggressive way. Um, but yeah, I mean it wasn't easy, and it's still not. I mean, I think about those numbers probably every single day, multiple times a day. It's not something that's easy to live with, but I don't think quitting is also something I'd wanna live with. That seems like a worse option to me, because I know the possibilities there, like, you see it every day, like, you see it on the timeline every day. People hitting wins, maybe not, you know, seven-figure wins, but, like, you see people hitting high five-figure wins every single day, and it's not, they're not unattainable. You just have to be in the right coin at the right time.
I kind of feel like maybe we know the answer to this, but like, what hard truths have you learned about yourself up to this point? What do you still struggle with most as a trader? And maybe most importantly, what steps are you taking like right now, today, to remedy the things that you struggle with the most?
So I took a lot of my chips off the table after SPSC, um, because I don't think this like environment is like good for me as a trader until things are a little more stable. And I've told myself once I bring money back on chain, I'm going to be more responsible and more systematic. I think a system of like rules and stuff. I mean, you hear almost every successful trader has like, rules that they follow. And I historically have not had any of that, and then I think my biggest weakness is probably like following a loss with another string of losses or like a bad trade with revenge trading and trying to trade to back to a number or to a value or to a position. Like I'll kind of waver between like having a few conviction plays and then like I'll I'll either get frustrated with them or impatient with them and cut them, and then I'll quickly like make a bunch of quick trades, and that typically doesn't go very well. So it's like that's probably my biggest weakness is those like tilt moments where you're just like you're in a losing streak and you don't walk away.
Yeah, good to know that you're identifying the things that you're struggling with and that you're at least starting to put the mental checklist together of like, when the time is right, these are the changes that I'm going to implement. It's awesome.
Because like right now I'm trading with like a very low amount of money on chain because I know it's not an environment where I'm going to be probably successful. I mean, maybe if we go back over 100K or something, then I think it's probably a safer area.
Yeah, for sure. I'm complete agreement with you and practicing a very similar approach for the time being. All right, so let's talk about SPSC. You took a big bet on SPSC, and I'm not talking about necessarily financial bet, but you put a lot on the line. You put your reputation on the line. You were kind of one of the figureheads of the token. Tee up the very, very early days because you didn't launch the token. You kind of came in after the token was launched. Tee up like the process of like what you saw in the token and then kind of like how your responsibility around the token changed from the time that you found it to the time that you kind of became more part of the team, let's say.
Sure. Yeah. It was another time where I didn't have much money on chain, like not much money. I think I only had like $100 on chain. And I bought it just off a phone notification actually. Soul Crow had bought it and I came across and I was like, what's that? That's kind of a weird ticker. Clicked on it, saw the video of Chase, and the quote, which I think is like a pretty good like synopsis of Twitter of crypto as a whole is pretty funny. I was like, "Oh, that's cool, I'll buy it." So I think I put like all $100 on it, and it was at like 2 or 300K maybe then, and it got like farmed just brutally like, down to like I don't know 50, 40K something like that, and I was like, "Oh, I really like this. I really like the narrative, but obviously I'm down horrendous on this now." And I think I put like 10, 20 more bucks on it. And the dev that obviously just like rugged it. I think he had like 2,000 deploys. Like it's a serial developer, um, deployer. Um, and I think that was like in the afternoon, and then before I went to bed, I was still holding it. It was down, still like 30K or something. I DM'd the admin from Bonk and was like, "Hey, is this eligible for a CTO?" Just because like I don't think there was even a community, or maybe the community had gotten like it was just full of bots. Like it just needed like some help. Like at that point, I wasn't like I'm gonna devote 3 months to this. I'm just like I want to get this thing back up to 300K at least and get like some money out of it. So he didn't reply until the next day. And when he replied, he was like, put a poll up in the community, and and we'll see, what people say, and then we'll see if you can. CTO it. So I'm like, okay, I still only have like, I don't know, $20 of the token or something. So I put the poll up in the community, and it got like, I don't know, 100 votes or something for yes. It was very like overwhelming for yes, and had a lot of like views and interactions and stuff. It was also, I didn't really realize at that time, but like the day or the day before is when World Liberty bought the one coin can change your life. Like it's when they bought whatever they bought 250K of it by 1%. So I was like, at that moment, like those that USD1 season on Bonk was kind of just taking off. I wasn't even really aware that it was taking off at the time, but that I think that was kind of like why this coin took off as well. So anyway, the poll was like overwhelming, yes, and I saw it overwhelming, yes. Like it was at I think the market cap was 13K when I posted the poll, and it just started going up, and then I'm like, oh fuck, I don't even have this. I have $40 or $30 of this token, right?
I
And I
don't have enough.
knew I knew FOMO you could buy with a credit card like instantly, which is I don't know if anybody's ever tried to buy with a credit card anywhere else. It's like it's nearly impossible, even debit cards. Having like Apple Pay with FOMO is a game changer. So I was like $500, double click Apple Pay, and I got like 1.2% or something. Um, and then it just started going up like a lot. Like I think it went to like probably 500K that first day. I was like, I'm back, you know? And I got really lucky. There was like a core group of guys that formed around the token pretty early, like a lot of good, talented, graphic guys, art guys, video guys, meme guys, bowl posters. Like I just kind of lucked into the early holders were really good. The team was really good. It wasn't just me, but we like within two, I think we went to 5 mil in like 2 weeks, or maybe it's 12 mil in 2 weeks. It went up rather quickly, and we got a lot of interactions from the World Liberty guys. By Thanksgiving, because I think it was November 5th, I believe, when it launched, and then I CTO'd it like the next day. I think on November 24th they bought 1% World Liberty did. So it was a pretty wild ride. We never really got bonk support, which I think was pretty known. We were like the anti-bonk token because it doesn't really fit with the rest of the narratives that typically run on bonk.
It's like too edgy.
Too edgy and not like almost all the other tokens kind of like fit into like their branding. Like it almost looks like all the art's done by the same person, like it was just different. And that kind of ultimately became like a sticky point where like we weren't getting not even financial support, but we weren't even getting like social support from them. So I think we ran up to I gotta open the chart now if I'm gonna
It was 16
if
million at the highs.
yeah, I remember that vividly. But the first peak was what was the first peak? Like 12? Yeah. I think that first peak is when was like they bought it at 5, yeah, and then it ran up to like 12, and then it bled for like what is that, like 3 weeks or something. Um, at that first bottom, we hired Ain't Labs, Remus and Vincenzo to start making content for us. Also, the fees on Bonk were incredibly low at that point. This was like almost a zero fee coin. Like it was 0.025% of volume, 0.25% of volume. It was like $500 a day versus like if it was on pump, it would have been like 5 grand a day. So like the budget we had to do things was extremely low. We started using all of our fees to buy content. Um, and it was like a full-time job for multiple of us, for like 5 of us. It was like a full-time job running that coin for whatever it was, 3 months. Um, and at the top, it was very interesting at the top. That's kind of where the issues with the launchpad kind of came to a head because we um, we basically got PvP'd by their own ecosystem. Um, some malicious actors had a large percent of our coin and did not like that we were leading the ecosystem and intentionally dumped it and told us to our face that they were going to dump it, and they did.
That's insane.
Yeah.
What? Okay, so I want to like backtrack a little bit here. You kind of became the CTO a little bit in jest. Like it
No,
sounds like
I was. I mean, I was the lead. Like the fees went to my wallet. Yeah,
talk to me about like the process of going from yeah, throw up a poll and see what people say to like, oh shit, this is actually a huge commitment now and a lot of
yeah.
people are and now a lot of people are relying on me. Like at what point did it click for you that like, oh, this is real and I actually have to take this very very
Oh,
seriously now?
like day one, like day one. Like
Really?
yeah. I mean, it was a, I don't know, 14, 16 hour a day like job from day one. Even if it's like a, 200, 300K market cap coin, like that is the reality. Like if you're gonna actually CTO something and actually like run a chat and run a community and make art and make videos and post tweets, like it's a full-time job. Unless you like half-ass it, and then like the token probably won't do well. But yeah, like very quickly from the start to the finish, it was a full-time job, more than a full-time job.
So when the token starts running, I mean, from basically nothing to millions. What's changing first? Is the community changing? Is the team changing? Is your how is your psychology around it changing?
Yeah, we started to bring in some more guys to the team like pretty quick. Like once we like, KOLs or I mean, we actually the core of us was pretty much the same, maybe until the second, like through that first spike, and then I think that for the second run up we added a few guys. But it was definitely like it wasn't just me. Like I was running the Twitter, but like there was a bunch of other guys doing a lot of work. Like I wasn't doing hardly any of the content generation, like SLVB, FOMO Overlord, and then Ponzi Baron was doing most of like the long form threads that actually got World Liberty's attention. Doc, I'm not sure if you know who
Of
Ponzi Baron
course.
Doc is, but yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I know.
he was probably like the most integral like part in actually getting World Liberty's attention with these like long form, like well thought out posts. But yeah, it was a lot of work for all of us.
I believe it. Really, like aside from, number going up, what was the driver that kept you guys committed to this project?
I think we all really thought like it had like, much higher potential than it got to. Like we didn't think 20 million was the high at all, which is like pretty delusional. But I think a lot of us are a little older and we were around for like the other cycles and like 2024 muse where like 20 million was like nothing, like why can't we go to 100? Why can't we go to a billion? And like the way that the quote had like a billion in it, like it really gave it like this like, yeah, it's a ridiculous target, but like it's ridiculous targets are almost great because it's like if you're like I wrote a tweet about this like we need like a return to like extreme price targets versus like if you say like this coin's gonna go to 10 million, like nobody's gonna buy it at 5 million because like nobody wants to like and only a 2x, if nobody's gonna buy it at 5 million, like who's gonna buy it at 4 million? Like it's just like it's a vicious cycle of like you can't really have like a continuous like greater fool or Ponzi thing where like you say there's like an end game unless it's like so far away. So not that we thought it was like, you know, not that we all thought it was gonna go to a billion, but we all thought it was gonna go a lot higher.
Yeah, and I don't think that's unreasonable. I think it was still within the realm of like it was around the useless time. It was after useless, but useless had just gone to 400 million, right?
Yeah.
So like there was precedent that Bonk was able to or a Bonk token was able to like really reach some big numbers. We
And the
we
World
kn-
Liberty tie-in was like, we didn't know what kind of firepower they were gonna inject into the ecosystem. Like it turned out like not really much at all. I mean, there was the initial buys, but nothing after that. But like they had the Aster partnerships, they had all these Binance ties, the Trump ties, obviously. Um, there was a lot of like potential catalysts, like that really didn't really come, but like there was a lot of potential catalysts paired with like a infinite meme, good content, good bolt posters. Like the sky was really the limit as far as we were concerned. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't hard to believe until the prices start going down, and then it becomes harder once once you're in a downtrend.
The general belief, I think, or like the idea in my circles, the people that I was trading with and talking to at the time, the idea was simple, right? It was Bonk is trying to cement themselves as a real competitor to Pump. And the
Mhm.
only way that that can happen is if they have tokens that do huge numbers, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the underlying thing. That so I totally understand why the belief was there that perhaps the sky was the limit. I'm curious. Of course, we know that Bonk never really came out and supported it, and we hear lots of stuff around this idea of tokens only really being able to do well if the ecosystem actually gets involved and bids them up. I'm curious, to you, what does ecosystem support actually mean, like in practice, other than just bidding the token? And maybe also, why was it so important in the case of SPSC?
I think it's kind of a sad reality that we've come to that is important, but, I think with Pump, you can definitely see that it's important. I mean, Pump has a lot of, like, good non-monetary things to, like, draw attention to runners daily, weekly, monthly, whatever. Like, they're like their Pump Fund trending, their terminal app that everybody's using, their, the tweets, like the Pump Fund spotlight tweets and stuff. Like, that all helps a lot. We weren't getting that from Bonk, just like, any kind of highlighting or engagement or, the Pump Fund Twitter account, like, posts memes, and, like, those memes, like, do, like, 2x off those posts. We weren't getting that at all. I think with Bonk, it kinda when they started Bonk.fun, like, the only tokens that ran were tokens that they engaged with and tokens that were very, like, matching to their vibe and not exotic tokens, not, like, weird things. So it's almost like a vicious cycle that I think they started where, like, they only pushed coins that their circle was in, and it became like a self-fulfilling prophecy where, like, only coins that were along those lines that they were in, that the same people were in, the same KOLs were in, would run on Bonk Fund, which kinda, like, sets it up for failure because, like, nobody's gonna buy something unless they're engaging with it. Until SPSC really is, like, the only one that I can remember where they didn't engage, and it still had a good run. But most things, like, can't even get off the starting blocks without, Tom or, somebody engaging with it.
Yeah, do you think it all boils down to the fact that they just didn't have supply and it didn't vibe with, like, quote unquote their aesthetic?
I don't know. I mean, it was communicated to them very early that we were serious and that it was a good narrative, like, over and over and over again. Under 100K, under 500K, under 1,000,000, like, they had their chances, but, yeah, I think ultimately I don't think there was a good coordination between World Liberty and Bonk. If I like from like I don't have any proof of that, but like I don't. It almost doesn't seem like Bonk knew that World Liberty was going to buy 1% of the coin, and maybe that was a shock to them and a surprise to them. And after that, like then it was too late.
Huh.
But
Interesting. Okay. So SPSC is proof that a token can get like real long term attention and still ultimately fail. So
mhm.
then I'm curious if you have any gut feeling on what actually determines whether a token lives or dies.
That's really like I think lately we've shifted so much to these viral tweets, viral subjects, viral animals. And I've been trying to figure out like what makes one of these run versus another, like, and then you get sprinkled in there, you have like called coins that do well, right? Like Neat is doing amazing. There's that ABCDEFG coin, which is doing pretty well. Um, White Whale is kind of like a called coin, I guess. Um, but most of them these days are these like viral tweets, viral subjects, which I think like they need to be funny. Like they need to have some element of humor. Like I think Punch maybe didn't have enough humor. It had like an emotional tie, but like and Punch could still do very well. It's not dead by any means, I don't think. But I think like that's one thing holding Punch back is like a lack of humor. But like Penguin didn't have like much humor either. But I think it think it was kinda like the first one recently. So, like, it's like the euthanasia roller coaster thing where, like, it's just not gonna get as high if it's the same general type of coin. Yeah, it's been difficult to, like, try to pick out what's gonna run and what's not. I've seen a lot of really good narratives lately, like, pop out at 200K, 300K, 400K, where it's like, why didn't that one go to millions? And I think it's become more difficult to, like, identify what's gonna run just based off, like, the subject matter, and it's really all about now, like, who has supply, what the distro is, like, who has the bundle, and what their intentions are. If Pump Fun is going to inject or market make, it's almost like you're flying blind in those scenarios. Like, it's not purely about the meme, it's about all these other structures around it, which are much, much more difficult to suss out.
Totally. Do you believe that there's a world where all that stuff maybe doesn't matter again? Or are we past that?
I don't know if it has to get worse for it to get better, but I think eventually, I think if meme coins are going to persist, which I think they will in some form, like, I don't think we can continue on like this because there just won't be enough participants. Like, I think people will burn out in these conditions. And somebody will probably think of a egalitarian solution that fixes at least some of these problems. And you're not going to fix all of them, but, like, I think, like, the bundling and the multi-walleting, like, can be avoided through certain things. The vamping, there's some things that can be done to avoid it, but, like, at the end of the day, like, the launch pads make money off of all these things, and I don't think they care about us making money, which, they're a business. It's not surprising, but yeah, I think eventually things will change.
How much can a token achieve on raw community energy alone before distribution and ecosystem backing become mandatory?
Important, like, today, it'd be surprising if anything goes over 10 without those, starting to kick in. Even 5 million. Like, it's like Punch maybe is a good example. Like, I don't know how much. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Punch probably had some help, right? But
You have to assume it did. Yeah.
yeah,
Your thought, I mean, what you said about Punch not being funny is actually really interesting because I haven't thought
I mean,
about
it has
that, but
some humor to it, but maybe just not enough. Like, it's not like
not yeah, not really. Like everybody is taken by this monkey, but not in a funny way. They feel bad
uh,
for it.
yeah.
What characteristics does a token need to have? What are like the minimum requirements for a token to really survive and thrive?
Unfortunately, it feels like it needs to have, like, a decent X community. But then again, like, some tokens, like Punch, or like some bigger tokens that run up fast and hard, like, I never even looked at the X community. But, like, for ones that are, like, kind of like hanging out around a couple $100,000 market cap, that's where you go. Like, that's where you see, like, what the vibe is, or, like, you know, I mean, for one thing, so the meme, or it has to be posted on Twitter. Like, people have to be excited about it on Twitter. I think that's, like, step one. That's probably the answer to your question. Like, it has to have active bull posters on Twitter, I would say. Whether that's just, like, the meme, from, like, morning routine, right? That wasn't really all, like, crypto Twitter posting it. That was, like, the whole Twitter posting it. But, like, if it's a meme, it's gotta be popular, at least on crypto Twitter, if not, like, all of Twitter.
Any other things?
No, I mean, I don't think it necessarily needs good, like, leadership from a team perspective. Like, I think some of the best coins are ones that, like, you have no idea who the team is. Um, but it definitely helps in almost all scenarios. I would say now, like, you need, like, somebody running the ship, especially in, like, the fees, like, era, you know? Because, like, ultimately that's like somebody's getting fees. I mean, there's all these new mechanics now where people aren't getting fees, but I don't know if that's gonna stick around or not. It's kind of like, once we, like, took the cat out of the bag there, it's, like, hard to put it back in.
Yeah. What does a great CTO of a token do that most traders and even maybe the communities never see?
Probably coordination of content. Um, like, I would spend hours a day trying to, like, write scripts for videos, write ideas for videos, coordinate, like, between our artists, like, saving, just compiling images on my phone and, like, sorting them out and trying to keep track of which ones I posted and which ones I didn't post, and you know all that stuff, like, you think is just like, you know, much easier than it probably is. It's a huge time suck. That's probably most of it. And then, like, just all, like, the bullshit of, like, people find things to complain about regardless of how much time or effort you're putting in. It's never enough, and it's never the right answer for everybody, so, like, that's probably another thing.
What are the key signs to look for, or maybe that you look for, that lets you know that a team behind a token is doing a good job? What can cause a team to break? And is there any point where the team becomes irrelevant?
I think coins, like, I mean, they're rare where the team becomes irrelevant, but, like, I think all the coins that we think of as, like, the most successful, like, the team all became irrelevant probably. Pepe, Mog. I mean, I don't know about Mog. A lot of these, like, I don't know who the team was. So, like, that's almost like a good example that, like, if you don't know who the team is, like, and it did really well, like, maybe that's why. At a certain point, the team becomes irrelevant. But I don't know. What was your question there? I missed it.
What are the key signs that you look for that lets you know that a team behind a token is doing a good job?
I
And
think just
and
like
it,
activity, like they're staying active. Like if they're posting about it like once a day or some shit, like that's not going to be enough in this day and age. Which I think you see that a lot. And people are like, I don't know why nobody bought it. I've been posting, but like you gotta be putting in like many hours a day.
yeah, you got to be like consistent and kind of not just consistent, meaning constantly posting, but also kind of like progressing the lore, right? Like growing the lore,
Building the story, yeah,
building
yeah,
the
I would agree.
story. What do you think most traders most misunderstand about how successful tokens are actually built?
I think a lot of trenchers probably like don't even think about the team aspect. They're only thinking about like the coin, um, the meme, and don't even think about what's going on behind the scenes. Um, because like
Should
if you're just on a terminal, like maybe you're not seeing like the Twitter end of it.
For sure, should they be thinking about the teams more?
Definitely, yeah, definitely in this environment, yeah.
What would you say to the current version of yourself today holding SPSC near the top?
Oh, sell half right now. Just half though. I feel like I could get away like from a optics point with half. It's actually funny when I sold, I only had, I had 1.5, 1.6%. Like it didn't actually, the price went back above my sell point within like 6, 8 hours. So it wasn't like I had like a 20% bundle or something. So like, I mean, I could have been trimming all the way up, and from a chart perspective, it wouldn't have hurt, but I think it's all optics. And that's why I didn't do it, because like I didn't want to cause a panic sell. I didn't want to stop the momentum.
Of course. I mean, it's the biggest burden to bear as the person who's kind of the figurehead of the token. I think that is part of what keeps most people away from kind of being willing to take on that role, right? Like, how
Yeah,
do
I
you
mean,
how do you sell?
I should have had side wallets. Almost everybody has side wallets, and I don't. But it probably half the listeners think I'm full of shit, but I didn't. I also held my whole stack on FOMO, and so did Hugo. We were like top five on FOMO for like quite a long time, in and out of the top five, um, for weeks on end, just because we were holding our whole stack there, which was fun at the time. But it's also like very visible.
Totally. It's as visible as it could possibly be. You guys were the OG like we're starting to see this, right? Like you saw the guy from Captcha, Alex from Captcha today holding
Oh
the
yeah,
1% of Captcha on his FOMO wallet. It's almost like a way of saying, I'm supporting this. I'm the guy
yeah,
backing this thing. I'm the guy that created this thing, and I'm a holder of the token as well. I think you're going to
yeah.
see a lot more of that here going
I
forward.
agree. It's a great use case. It's a great use
Totally.
case. I love FOMO.
What is your best advice for a newer trader just getting into the game, like in the past couple of months?
I would say, like, do as I said, not as I do. Set up a system. Only put X%, whatever that system is, if it's 5% or 10% of your stack on each play, and have rules. Have rules for exits. Have rules for entries. Don't just ape things that you see on terminals. Like, try to do some research. Try to learn how to look into. supply distribution, bundles, all that stuff, which it's hard. It's very hard because like nowadays that kind of it's a double-edged sword. Like you see a lot of bundled coins do well because like it's a maybe a well-intentioned bundle or whatever, but at least just know what all that stuff means.
Educate yourself now while things are kind of quieter so that when the time comes to actually act, you know what you're acting on.
Yeah. Also, I would say curate. Like, definitely have a Twitter account if you're trading without a Twitter account. That's you're flying blind. And curate your follow who you follow on Twitter. I think that's probably one of the most important things. I use a like a list, so I have like a pinned list on my Twitter on like the right side. Um, that's even like a trimmed down version of the people I follow who I think are the best. Kind of like finger on the pulse, and that's not all like crypto Twitter accounts. Like it might be like Autism Capital or like Mark Andreessen or things that move the needle on coins often. But I think having like a really well curated Twitter feed is very important.
Can you give me some intel on key follows on Twitter? People that are just like in the trenches, ripping it, really in the know,
Hmm.
or key follows on FOMO as well.
I mean, Logjam, Remus, all the FOMO celebs are there for a reason. And Ponzi Baron, who I mentioned before, has a very, very good nose for tickers. He only has like 2,000 followers, but should probably have like 20. He probably doesn't want 20, but um, Manos, you guys know Manos?
I
He only
was,
has like
I
2,000
was, I,
followers.
I was literally about to. I was biting my tongue to not say Manos, but yeah, Manos.
Yeah, he's
Manos is
great.
he's a G for
Uh,
sure. I've been trying to get him on in the trenches.
he has 5,000 followers. I take that back, but
He's
he should have
he's
a
on
lot
the
more.
come up. His Telegram channel is popping.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm scrolling my pin right now. I think Darnell has a good nose. I also follow some people who I like. You know, I don't think they're the best traders or the best like people, but like you want to see what some people are trading. I won't name names, but like some like the villains. You want to follow the villains too and see what they're doing.
Oh, I
Um,
want you to give me a list of villains so bad, man. I won't
I
I
think
won't go.
Mirage is a great KOL to follow. I think he only like it's few and far between, but they're normally pretty good plays that you will post them. Um, Busy, I like Busy. He's done pretty well with Testable lately. Like that's what comes to mind. I'm sure I'm like leaving a lot of people out, but
That's a good start for somebody who's kind of new and doesn't know where to go. Because I mean, that's a whole thing too. Is like Twitter is noisy and it's very easy to find people who just bull post tokens all day. But
yeah,
finding the right people that bull post tokens all day is a process, and you have to kind of there's a time element there. Like you said at the very beginning, you need screen time, and nothing can replicate that. You and I can say Manos, or you and I can say Ponzi Baron, or whatever, but like neither of those guys' styles may resonate with you once you
yeah,
like get to know their style, right?
yeah,
So you really
definitely.
do have to find your own people. Last question for you. What's your sense on the market right now? Where are we at in the do you believe in the 4 year cycle? Where are we? Where do you think we're kind of headed? Just maybe kind of looking out towards the end of the year.
It's a very tough question. I think I'm like a delusional optimist that I think we got to be near bottom, but in reality, like we could probably go a lot lower. The war thing really has to, be taken into consideration heavily. But I'm positioned like we're near the bottom. I just think there's like too much institutional tie-in for crypto now and stock market tie-in. I think it's all too, it all feels too big to fail, which is a very scary thing to say. Because we obviously have seen that go very wrong in the past, but I think inflation isn't going to go away and we're just going to keep printing money one way or another and assets will just keep going up. But I could be wrong. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, Risk, man, this was an awesome conversation. I really, really enjoyed getting to chat with you. I think that your perspective on the market is just a really unique one. I appreciate your willingness to like be vulnerable and talk about the hard stuff that comes along with um, trading. I want to say that you've traded very, very well, and you've seen a lot of success, and you have more success ahead of you. And I'm anxious. I'm anxious for the next big win that you hit.
Thanks, man. Enjoyed it. I'll be sure to tune in for the next one.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We will be back again as soon as possible with another one of these. So, yeah, thank you, Risk. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night, and we'll talk soon.
Good night.
All right, brother. Later.